Hi, welcome to Any Production Source, Episode 8. My name's Charles Stewart Jr.
And I'm Kelly Nealon, and Any Production Source is a show that encompasses everything to do with independent video production. And that's my line every week. Before we get started, we got to address an issue that people have asked us about, which is the release date. I know some days we put it out on the show out on Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays, sometimes Saturday, and once early Sunday morning.
Yeah, that was my fault.
But what we're trying to do is, get the show together and get the interviews, and sometimes the interviews don't come till later in the week, so, we kind of wait last minute to get everything done, and I know our editors are working hard to get it out as soon as possible, but our one editor. So we're trying to get it out as soon as we can, but it's guaranteed the weekend, so if you can bear with us,
always count on the weekend.
All weekend, then we'll get it for you, so just look for it.
Also, if you've been watching the show, our very first episode, we covered the film Dismal. And we've been able to do interviews with the producer and the director. And they've shot the film now, and it's in post-production. And they've got a lot of good buzz from it. And they were nice enough to take the time out of their schedule to all come. We've got both producers and the director in to kind of do like a rectangular table discussion.
Yes.
So they basically came in and talked about it, and it's really an awesome
it turned out
discussion.
Turned out really good, and I think you guys will get a lot of helpful stuff out of it. So enjoy.
And also, let me just interject. If you don't mind.
They don't want to hear you; they want to see.
Right,
But
I know.
It's going to be important.
I know. I'm just letting people know.
Come on.
So for this episode, you won't be seeing the fresh find or the plug in it. It's just going to comprise mostly of the discussion. But next week we'll be again back to normal.
Yes.
All right. Here's the discussion.
Now here's what you've been waiting for. Okay.
Well, shooting in Georgia was definitely
a remote part of Georgia.
It was tough. Mm-hmm. Lack of cell phone service and communication was hard, but the visuals was great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of the basic necessities and gear and crew and things that we needed, anything that we needed for the movie, we had to bring in from outside. And we had originally planned to come back to Wilmington to shoot some of the college scenes. When that didn't work out, luckily we had a local connection who knew somebody at a local college there. And down there, it's remote enough that you still get the wow factor when you talk to people about making a movie there. So when we asked to make a movie at their college, I think the day before we actually shot there, they were extremely enthusiastic about letting us shoot there.
That was the last time they were enthusiastic.
Yeah. When we go back, maybe not so enthusiastic, but that day it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I think for the most part too, for me, just in terms of being able to direct, it was the only difficult part was if you needed something on the fly, that wouldn't be possible in that area on the fly unless we had it already. To get something done or a prop or something had to be gone. They had to go to get it someplace else, which took a while.
Well, the script changed, and I haven't seen the movie put together yet, so we're still, the verdict's still out on whether or not it turned out to be better than the way I had written it. But I did go to set on a number of occasions, and I wasn't there the whole time, but I did go there, and there were some changes in dialogue, and we'll see how they work out. I think nothing to the point where the story changed greatly, but just some changes in the characters and the dynamic between the characters. And locations, they worked out kind of the way we planned them. But of course you have to work around when you're not on a stage and you're not, you don't have full control over what your surroundings are. You kind of have to adapt. And if the tree's not exactly by the swamp or if the cabin's not by the water, then you kind of have to adapt. For instance, in one, I guess in a positive situation, we had a cabin, we got a cabin location that had a little shack location next to it. Now there was never a shack location in the script, but we used that little spot to do some of the scenes there where the generator is and some of the other things that were effective. And so I think that worked out for our benefit. But yeah, you just kind of adapt, and then Word's still out on the script changes.
I think there were, on set too, there were a lot of great ad libs that the actors and Gary came up with, especially
great.
Especially with Dale's
Well, let's see
character.
it first.
Things that he brought, sort of fleshing out his character that really
Bill
added.
Oberst,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bill Oberst.
Bill Oberst Jr. was great. And I think that cliche of, there's 3 movies, you write one, you shoot one, and you edit the other one. There's like, they all evolve from each other, and it's not exactly going to be the same if how you've envisioned it from one stage to the other. And for me, I think with the script, a lot of things happened on the fly where mainly, like Justin said, there were some ad libs where an actor brought something to the table, or they did something that made me think of an idea where, hey, try this, that might be pretty cool to do, and then it really works, and sometimes it doesn't, but that's what editing's for. And then the main thing also with either locations or certain props that we didn't have in time, or if something happened with the weather, we kind of would have to either quickly adapt to that and change the script up that way. And sometimes, it could be for the better, for the worse, but that's what editing is for. When I think at the end of the day, it's going to be fairly tight. The cast, I was actually really impressed with the performances. We were a little, we're going for an indie cast, low budget, so we were casting locally for the most part and just trying to get the strongest talent. And, at this level, sometimes you're not going to be working with the strongest of actors, or they're fresh, they're a little new, they've never been on set before, never worked in long hours types of conditions. And at the end of the day, actually, Bo and I had some conversations where we were really blown away by some of these people because they really brought it. And I think you'll be amazed by some of these performances. As you watch the film, the transformations that some of these people have, you can actually see happen. And I think at the end of the day, too, Bill Oberst Jr. as Dale is really going to open some eyes with his creepiness and just what he was able to take with the character and just create something so scary that I think audiences will really, I'm hoping at the end of the day will become big fans of, and they'll have, like, with the conventions, like, he'll be the guy there that they'll have to go see for autographs and all that kind of stuff. But also, to go back to the conditions, I think the actors were treated real nice with, trailer, air conditioned, and all that good stuff when the crew and producers and everyone else were kind of just out in the hot, humid, gnat-filled, mosquito-infested space. But I loved it, so that's my take.
They were, the cast members were put through a lot of stuff physically on the set. When they were off the set, we tried to give them as much creature comforts as we could. There was a trailer there, they had a hair and makeup, they had some air conditioning. They had a pretty nice place to stay. It was right on it was on the swamp, but it was a nice lake swamp, it wasn't like it was a swampy swamp. So they would grill out and they were having parties. So they had a good time, but the actual course of filming, we put them through the test. I mean, they were ripped through the dirt, they were poured with mud, they had to get some incredibly intense emotional scenes out, and some of the other actors, to elicit some of the performances, actually went above and beyond the call of what was in the script, and added some of their own personal touches to get reactions out of the actors. And some of the actors did not know what was coming their way, and sometimes they weren't the best things.
I was going to say that because some actresses specifically said, I would ask them, now Bill is going to do something, do you want to know ahead of time what that is? And they would always say, no, I want to give the natural reaction. And so I worked with Bill a lot on doing things to the actresses to get those natural
Bill's
reactions.
a freak.
Yeah, Bill was in it. He was like,
He was
sure.
crazy into it.
Yeah.
Love him. Justin and I were on swamp detail at night.
The night that we really had put people in the water in the swamp, there was definitely some hesitance about people getting in the water. Hesitation, that's it. And we actually asked the person whose property we were on
Who was a doctor.
Right. If it was safe to get in the water, and he said, well, I wouldn't, but technically it should be fine.
Technically.
So as producers,